Okay, so we've got the topic of music, a really nice topic, and it's describe your favorite song, which would be a really great question to be given in the real IELTS. So I think that would be great. What the song is that you like, when you listen to it for the first time, how often you listen to it, why it's your favorite song. Yeah, what a nice topic. So let's listen and see what this candidate has to say.
I like a song of BTS called the Lifeboat Zone. It wasn't a song that I knew for a long time, but I got to know it while listening to a BTS song, Dynamite. I know this song is not that long after it was released, but when it first came out, I started to like the title of the song while looking at the songs in the album. Just like most of BTS songs, it is also a song that gives people hope. For example, a song like Dynamite has a very bright atmosphere and made me think that life is shining and made me feel like I've become something great. But in the case of Life Goes On, it tells me life continues even if reality is hard, and we have to keep living our lives, like the title of this song. And also I like how this song portrayed a little gloomy life in a calm way. I usually like songs that express reality in calm ways more than songs that are over-packaged and intentionally cheer me up. While studying these days, life is not always fun, but when I listen to this song, I think about doing well again. So I often listen to this song when I go to eat near my house or go grocery shopping.
Okay, so first of all, BTS, yay! I don't want to be a stereotype, but I am a British girl in South Korea, so of course I like BTS. Is that even a question? I don't want to be a stereotype. That's the power of the Korean wave. So I appreciate this candidate saying that they like BTS. Because I get the sense that in South Korea it's not always cool to like K-pop, but I'm a foreigner, so of course I like BTS. And I like this song too, so he picked a good song. So in terms of what he actually answered, fluency. Very nice fluency in terms of he kept answering the question. His answer to the question was very focused and he answered the question clearly. There wasn't a lot of pauses. There wasn't a lot of repetition. He kept moving forward, new information and so on. He was able to link his answers together quite nicely. So he used phrases like, I usually like songs that, these days when I'm doing this kind of thing. So he had some nice phrases that kind of linked the different parts of his story together. So I appreciated that. So there was a nice flow to it. Pronunciation, good, clear pronunciation. I mean, it was a little bit blurry just because of the sound quality, but his pronunciation was very good and I could understand what he wanted to say. The main issue with the pronunciation is his intonation was very flat. And what I mean is that it was all like the same volume, the same pitch, the same speed. So he was saying things like, my favorite song in the minute is the song Life Goes On by BTS. I came across this song when I was listening to their song Dynamite. It makes me feel better when I'm studying, and these days I like to listen to it when I go to the grocery store. So can you hear how it's all sort of very flat in one tone? And so I would really encourage this candidate to listen back to their answer and then record it again with more intonation features. So what do I mean by intonation features? Things like you can put your pitch up, like English speakers put their pitch up in surprise when they're telling me about stuff. Or we tend to slow down when we really, really want to emphasize something. Or we use our volume to get a little bit louder or a little bit quieter, like to show our feelings. So it's like that. Also, you can do it with, speeding up a little bit if you're getting excited and you want to show that you're excited. Okay, these are all kind of intonation features. So this candidate really needs to work on that. And I would really suggest that they listen back to their answer and they think about where they could add some emphasis. So for example, when they're talking about the song talks about carrying on, even if it's hard. Okay, so by emphasizing that even if, it's sort of it's emphasizing the contrast between you have to keep going in life, even when things become tough. Okay, so that would be an area where they could add some emphasis. They can emphasize adjectives. The song has a really bright atmosphere. Like your tone goes up to show the brightness. It's about positivity. Like you can use your voice to go up to show the brightness with your voice. He says, it wasn't a song I knew for a long time. It wasn't a song that I knew for a long time, showing that it's surprising that it's a new song that they like a lot. So those are the kind of intonation features that you can practice. It's kind of difficult to practice it by yourself. So I would advise this candidate to, like I said, listen back, re-record with some more intonation, and then give it to their teacher, who's hopefully a native speaker, who could give some more feedback. Well, to be honest, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a native speaker or not, but give it to your teacher and see if your teacher can give you some more feedback on the types of pronunciation you can include. So that would be my advice to this candidate. In terms of vocabulary, I thought they used some really nice specific vocabulary that's specific to songs. So they use things that they don't like songs that are over packaged. That's a really great word that's very specific to the topic of music and songs. He says he doesn't like songs that are intentionally try to cheer him up. So he doesn't like intentionally cheerful song. Intentionally, like a really great word. Overpackaged, a great word. He talked about, the title of the song or the title track and things like that. Words and vocabulary specific to music. He used a lot of those. Very good. The only couple of words he used that weren't quite natural was when he described the song as saying that life is shining. Makes me feel that life is shining. We would never describe life as shining. We say life is great, life is worthwhile, life is exciting, life has meaning. Those are all phrases you could use. We would never describe life as shining. He also talks about, he really likes the bright atmosphere, which is, it's fine, but it's not very natural to say the song has a really bright atmosphere. You could say something specific to music, like the song is really up-tempo and cheerful. The song has a really bright, catchy, bouncy melody. Or even though the song is kind of slower, the message of the song is all about creating a sort of bright, joyful feeling. Okay, that would be a more natural way to say it than to say it creates a bright atmosphere. In terms of grammar, this is the phrase that I mentioned before, where this kind of says, it wasn't a song I knew for a long time. I'm sorry, my handwriting is so bad. It wasn't a song I knew for a long time. Okay, so here, what past it was, it's about the past tense. It wasn't a song I knew for a long time. Okay, so he's saying, he hadn't been listening to it for very long. This was a chance to use some more sophisticated grammar than the candidate really did. So rather than saying it wasn't a song I knew for a long time, it could actually be better to say something like, I hadn't been listening to the song for a long time, or I haven't been listening to the song for a long time, or I have only been listening to the song since last month, or I only, something like that, where you're showing me more complex and more difficult tenses. So that was a sort of chance for this candidate to do that. And they didn't. So that was one of the things I was like, that was your opportunity to push more into showing the grammar range. But in terms of grammar accuracy, I thought it was a very accurate, speech, which is quite tricky to do. I just wanted to see more different types of grammar, like an if, or like a conditional sentence, or some different types of tenses. Could it be more exciting in their answer? But I thought in terms of consistency and being accurate, I thought this candidate was very good at that. So let's listen to their next answer. Is music education important in your country, and what are the advantages of learning music?
I don't think so. In some European countries, I know that most of children have to learn musical instruments. But in Korea, a lot of parents make their children learn how to play instruments such as piano. But it's not what children want to do, so I know that many children give up before long. I think learning music has a lot of advantages in life. For example, no matter what group you go to, music can't be left out. So I think we can enjoy it anywhere and anytime. And even if we are alone, we can change our mood through music.
Okay, all right. The music. Sorry, I'm just making some more notes about what they said. So I thought, again, in terms of fluency, pretty good. And they did answer this really like they were answering a part 3. Like their answer was focused. They directly answered the question. Fluency was fine. Not a lot of hesitation, not a lot of repetition. I thought that was quite good. Again, pronunciation. We've got the sort of flat tone of the intonation. So they said some phrases like, when we're alone, we can change our mood through music. And they said this very sort of flat, we can change our mood through music. So one way that we can make that have more intonation is to say, we can change our mood through music, or we can even change our mood through music, right? Can you hear the difference in how I said that? And I know it can be kind of embarrassing. I know it can be kind of cringy to have to feel like you're performing or you're being some kind of entertainer, but you have to show the examiner that you can do it. You know, they can't give you points just on the assumption that they think you can do it. You have to show them. And part of that is sometimes you have to emphasize a bit more because you're learning English as a second language. It's sometimes in order to show it clearly, you do have to overemphasize. So you heard then how I just went really deep on the do. You do have to emphasize. I went louder there to show my intonation. They also said at the start, like, I think learning music can be great, rather than I think learning music can be great for children. You know, and by slowing down my pronunciation of that word, I've created some intonation. So that's something that you can practice. So I think usually for my students, I tell them when we're practicing in class, we're usually focusing on grammar and vocabulary. And then when they go home and record themselves for their homework, I always advise them to record themselves twice. Like I said before, first time, just do it naturally. And then the second time, do it again, trying to put those intonation features in. The more you practice, the more it will become natural to you. Again, in terms of vocabulary, good. I didn't really have any problems with the vocabulary. I thought that was fine. In terms of grammar, he said this phrase, I know that most of children have to learn musical instruments. So this would, rather than say, I know that most of children have to learn musical instruments, it should be, I know that most children have to learn musical instruments, okay, rather than most of. So that was just one sort of error that sort of jumped out to me as I was listening. So overall, I thought there was a lot of strong points to this candidate in terms of their pronunciation. I thought was... Sorry, I'm starting with fluency. So in terms of fluency, I thought there was a lot of good features, and also in the terms of coherence, they answered the question in a really focused way. They gave good long answers. They explained things well. So I thought that was great. So in terms of fluency and coherence, I would probably want to give them like a 6.5 for that. In terms of grammatical accuracy, very high. In terms of range, lower. So the grammar they did use was very accurate. In most of the time, but in fact they weren't actually showing me enough variety in the types of grammar that they can use. And this is why even native speakers can find the IELTS speaking kind of tricky, because you have to sort of consciously put in these more complicated phrases or these more complicated sentences than you would perhaps naturally use, because again, like I said, you have to show the examiner you can do it in order to get the points. So, but I felt like it was quite consistent in the fact that everything was understandable. There weren't major mistakes all the way through. So I think I would want to sort of give a 6 for that and say to this candidate, I want to see much more range from you. In terms of vocabulary, I thought they tried quite hard with their vocabulary. The only thing I would have liked to have seen from them is more unusual phrases. So you can use stuff like, if you're talking about music, something, it was an earworm, meaning it was a song that you just got stuck in your head. You could literally even say it was a song that got stuck in your head. Something like that would be more sort of slightly high level, a more unusual phrase that native speakers would use. But I thought overall their vocabulary was really quite good, so I would tend to give them higher for that. And then pronunciation, really just let down by the intonation. Not enough intonation features, even though their pronunciation was quite clear. So I think overall sort of coming out at a 6.5 would be fair for this candidate. and just really work on their intonation. That would be the first thing I would tell this student. So you need to practice giving more word stress, more pitch, volume, and other things as well. So yeah, overall, I thought a lot of really good features for this answer.